Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Star Raptor, and welcome to the channel. We have 3 comic books to talk about for this week. The first one was available in the US on Free Comic Book Day, and that is Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures Free Comic Book Day 2023 edition. This, of course, is written by Daniel Householder with artwork by Harvey Talabal, the dynamic duo. And in this one, we go back to Phase 1 at the Fall of Starlight. We are getting a perspective of Lula Talisola, who is aboard Starlight Beacon, trying to bring Crix over there, Crix Camerat as a prisoner, and helping out, and Starlight is falling apart. So it's all about what happens from that perspective, because for the longest time, that was the one character's fate we did not know about in the end of Phase 1. So it's really neat to get that perspective. It's not a huge story because about half of the real estate of this issue is taken up by an Avatar story in the back half of this issue, but it was nice to see what happens. And we still don't get a definitive answer if she lived or not, but she's fighting against Crix Camerat as an explosion goes off, as the Starlight is sinking into the atmosphere of Irem, where it eventually will crash into the ocean. So there's a lot of variables that could still happen. I'm strongly believing that she will pull through, but we won't know, I guess, until October or November later this year when Phase 3 launches. Next up, from the High Republic, we also have the High Republic issue number 9, the penultimate issue of the Phase 2 story. Of course, written by Kevin Scott with artwork by Ario Anindito. And that's another dynamic duo from the High Republic creative team in the comics. And this one is, of course, from Marvel, but this is the confrontation between the Herald, Worth Plouth, and Vildar Mac. And last we left off, we have the Leveler itself sucking the life out of this Jedi Master, Solonian Jedi Master. And Vildar Mac is obviously very disturbed because that's what happens when the Leveler is near. It kind of siphons the energy and the darkness invades the minds of the Force sensitives. So we see Tayserik, who is the Guardians of the Will, taking up this Sith gauntlet that is able to kind of fight off the Leveler to actually get it out of there before Vildar Mac gets succumbed by this darkness. And then in doing so, something happens and there's a bunch of action, and then next thing you know, Vildar Mac ends up picking up the gauntlet and going toe-to-toe with a lightsaber wielding the Herald. And that's where this issue ends. What I like to see about this issue is that they were actually in what's called a Bogon Vault, or a Bogon Collection, which we know from the Dooku Jedi Lost Audio Drama, also written by Kevin Scott. There was one on Coruscant that keeps like the most insidious, powerful Sith relics of all time under watchful eyes so nobody can get their hands on and cause havoc. So it's interesting that they are using this Sith gauntlet to do that. An interesting thing is I know exactly how this comic ends, guys. I know how it ends because I read Path of Vengeance, which, by the way, I have my review up on the channel right now. Spoiler alert, it's a very great Star Wars book, but they actually told us about what happens with the certain characters of this comic book series, because certain characters in this comic series are the main characters of the Path of Vengeance book. So it's just the way that things were published that I already kind of know exactly how this thing is going to end, but I'm still ready and looking forward to see how it ends in actual drawing visual format rather than literature, right? And the last one we have to talk about this week, also from Marvel, is Darth Vader issue number 34, written, of course, by Greg Pak with Adam Gorham. And this one did not impress me. I'm up and down with Darth Vader comics all the time. Feel like this one was, half of it was a vision of Sabe dealing with this ideology of Vader saying about hate leads to suffering or hate leads to power. So he's given her this vision as they are marooned on this planet because the Force wave caused Vader in the last issue to go absolutely berserk, can't control his Force ability. Sabe tries to get him to cool down in this tranquil world, and in doing so, he gives her a vision, or spurs on the idea of her getting a vision. She's looking at an alternate timeline of the handmaidens and all this stuff. Even sees an alternate timeline of her leading the charge on Endor against Leia. I thought that was a really cool image there. But basically, by the time this ends, Sabe runs away. A rebel pathfinding team seems to find Vader, and very capably, Vader just completely decimates these rebels, and that's how the issue ends. So this issue, to me, it didn't really have a lot of substance. I thought we were off to the right foot on the first part of this arc last week, But it just seems like, okay, why are we here still? I want to see more from Vader and what's going to carry on for the overall plot. I think we've seen enough of the story about him. The story is him just getting to the point in Return of the Jedi where he's going to be redeemed by taking a step away from the dark side and doing something light in his life to save his son. I think we have seen enough of that kind of transposed image of that happening. But I want to get a little bit more. I know we got to be a little bit patient because the next issue shows Dr. Aphra, and I want to see that confrontation between Dr. Aphra and Darth Vader, who have a very strong bond since the 2015 Star Wars Darth Vader flagship series runs in that, Empire before Empire phase. So there you go. Not a whole lot to break down on this issue. The artwork, of course, looks fantastic. It's just the story and the plot at this point seem to be kind of treading water a little bit for me. So what did you think of the comics that came out this week? Let me know in that comment section down below. For more on Star Wars, as I said, I just put up my review for Path of Vengeance. I have an entire High Republic playlist. I have a bunch of videos not pertaining to Star Wars, but pertaining to my trip to Europe. Go ahead and check that out. I'm getting very close to 2K subscribers. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button already if you haven't. I just need a couple dozen more people and I'll hit my milestone, which I'm really looking forward to doing. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @StarRaptor.